Hello and welcome to episode 184 of the All Systems Go Sports Betting Podcast, powered by Rhythm. I'm your host, Josh Appelbaum. What's going on, everyone? Happy Tuesday. Another day here in the arena, guys. And we got a lot to get to on today's podcast. I have a 5-pack of sweats for you, including 3 college basketball sides with some good line moves and rhythm and Ken Palm system edges. And then we're going to look towards some kind of important games here. One in college football, a bowl game with a couple interesting things here happening in terms of one team getting a lot of line movement. And there's a reason for that because they're locked and loaded and this other team just fired their head coach and has a lot of opt-outs. So we'll talk about that and how to handle that. I'm actually going to be looking toward the total in that game. And then also a play for the NBA Cup. That's right, out in Vegas, we got the Bucks and the Thunder. And did you guys know that the winning team, every player on the winning team gets $308,000? So $308K for the winning team. If you're Giannis and you're making, I don't know, $60 million a year, probably doesn't mean that much. But if you're a bench guy, maybe making $1 million a year, that's a pretty good chunk of change. So we'll see how that one plays out. But I do have a play on the total on that one as well. So a 5-pack overall as we jump back into the arena on a big Tuesday. Now, I do want to remind everyone, we just started something new with Rhythm. You're probably used to or have maybe jumped on some of the Sunday sweats, myself and James Santor, every NFL Sunday from 11 a.m. Eastern time to noon. But we got something new going on. Started last week, doing it again this week. So it'll be every Tuesday moving forward. So today at 4 o'clock, if you have TikTok, and I have now been introduced to TikTok, and I thought maybe we're gonna ban TikTok, but it sounds like Trump maybe wants to keep it. So that's a whole other story. But I am now a TikToker, so I will be hosting a Rhythm college basketball TikTok breakdown today. So if you have TikTok and you want to join, 4 o'clock today, you can join the conversation. We'll answer questions, kind of show the way around to use Rhythm to your advantage, and then I'll give you some plays that I'll be betting on here for tonight. So that's on tap later today. Now, unfortunately, we're stuck in the abyss. We're stuck in the darkness, guys. It is brutal out there. Honestly, I can't remember a stretch like this for quite a while. 0-5-1 last night, -5 units. And boy, was it just another one of those nights where not only did we lose, but we lost in the most heartbreaking fashion. So I'll give you a couple examples here. The one game we pushed was Vegas +6. And why was that frustrating? Because Vegas scored a touchdown late. The Vegas Raiders, all they had to do was kick the extra point. It was 15-9. They kicked the extra point. It's 15-10. We cover the +6. But of course, the way our luck's going, nothing's going our way. And what happens? The extra point gets blocked. So they lose 15-9. Again, it's better than a loss, but that should have been a win. Instead, it's a push. Jacoby Myers, over 59.5 receiving yards. What does he land on? 59. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, guys. It just feels like almost it's personal recently, like we're being punished or for whatever reason. Grand Canyon, sharp dog to fave line move. They couldn't come through. Bears +7. Boy, was that a rough sweat. There were opportunities there to possibly push or cover. It didn't happen. Cole Kmet, I still don't get why he isn't targeted more. He had 1 catch for 14 yards. Going into halftime, I said, we only need, 11, 12 yards to cash that in the second half. He doesn't get a single target, so that was fun. And then, of course, Colorado Avalanche, sharp road favorite line move here. Great bet split. They lose 3-0. So I'm at my wit's end here, guys. But as always, we're not going to quit. We're not going to complain. We're not going to cry. We're just going to keep grinding. And again, as bad as it's been recently, that just kind of weeds out. You know, in a way, guys, when you're on a losing streak, I think it really shows and proves to you what you have inside. What kind of guts do you have? Like, are you the type of person who, again, is doubling down, tripling down, chasing? Or are you the type of person that says, screw this betting thing, it's not fun, I'm making sharp bets and I'm losing, so I might as well just quit? Again, I totally get it. It's totally, I guess normal, or it's a human emotion to feel that way. But as hard as it is, and here's the other thing, my wife kind of annoyed me last night. I love her to death, but she's like, how are your games going? I'm like, just another bad losing night. And she's like, maybe you should change your process. And that really frustrated me because, no, I'm a data-driven, sharp contrarian bettor. I'm not going to start taking teams getting 80% of bets. I'm not going to go against sharp line moves. It's just a really rough stretch where, for whatever reason, the planets are not aligning here. So let's stick with it. Let's continue to grind. I even saw, and this is, again, totally understandable, but when you're struggling and nothing's going your way, I think your first thought is, oh, let me just fade myself. So I've been seeing a lot of this on Twitter, including maybe you saw this as well, but certain people who are struggling just like us, and I get it. It's the ultimate frustration here when you're making bets and they're losing, because it just makes betting not fun. It's not fun to lose. And again, losing nights happen. One night you're up, one night you're down, but when you're down consistently for going on a week now, it can really just make you pull your hair out, make you go crazy a little bit. And again, I totally get that, because I'm dying for some wins here too. This is rough on me as well. But I noticed someone who said, let me fade myself. And I said to myself, ooh, I get it. If you're losing, the easy thought is, oh, if I'm losing, I'm making bad bets. Why don't I just go against my bad bets and therefore I'll win? But when you're getting to the point of resorting to fade yourself, maybe sports betting just isn't for you. You got to have faith a little bit, and not from an emotional standpoint, but from a mental or analytical perspective, to stick with the model, stick with the blueprint. It's not that every day is going to be a winning day. You're going to have bad stretches, bad weeks. But when you get to the point of I don't know what to do anymore, I'm freaking out, I keep losing, and therefore I'm going to fade myself. I'm going to look for the games that I like based on my criteria and go the other way. I think maybe that's the point at which you retire from sports betting. When you get to that point, I think that's just not something the road I would want to go down. Because again, you fade yourself, and what if you lose? And if you're like, oh, if I just stuck with my original bets, I would have won. So there's part of that too as well. So totally get it. It's rough out there. We're still in the darkness. We're trying to find the light. But as always, we never give up, and we get right back up when we get knocked down. So with that being said, can we, dear God, get some winners here for tonight? I want to start off with some college basketball, because it's a big college hoops day. And again, I invite you all to jump on TikTok, 4 p.m. Eastern time today, late afternoon, early evening, whatever you want to call it. We'll be breaking down a bunch more games, but I got 3 for you. So first one on the board, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. We have a added game, extra game matchup between North Florida and North Carolina, Asheville. So this one caught my eye just from the standpoint of, as we've talked about many times on the pod, added game, extra game. Game 306-515, 306-516. If we have a low bet game that the public can't find on their app, yet we identify a sharp line move, we're going to go with the sharp line move, because again, it's not the public moving the number, it's the professional bettors. So going into this one, North Florida is 7-4. They've rotated wins and losses over their last 4 games. Just took down UNC Greensboro 89-77, covered as a 1.5 point home favorite. Meanwhile, UNC Asheville 6-4. They're hot right now, though. They've won 3 in a row. Just took down Western Carolina 78-61, covered as a 7-point home favorite. So what have we seen across the board here? Well, it's a low bet game, but it's got a sharp move toward North Carolina, Asheville. Asheville opened as around a 1.5 point home favorite, and now they've been steamed up all the way to -3. So that tells us right off the bat, low bet game. Sharps have gotten down on the home team, North Carolina, Asheville. If you look at DraftKings, they're getting 71% of bets and 82% of dollars. So it may not seem like a huge deal there, but 71% of bets typically is public, but this is an added game, extra game. So that tells me it's not really public. It's more of a predominance of sharper bettors with North Carolina, Asheville here. A bunch of advantages for UNC Asheville. Free throw shooting, which could be important in a close game. 69% as a team versus 62% for North Florida. Better defensive efficiency, 228 in the country. Doesn't sound great, but North Florida is one of the worst in the country, 318. Asheville is only giving up 74.2 points a game. North Florida is giving up nearly 82. Also, home road. North Carolina Asheville is 3-0 at home this year. Now, Ken Palm does have Asheville winning by 2. And if you look at our friends at Rhythm, they're a little bit more bullish on NC Asheville, -2.8 or -3. Those are my 2 models here. So you guys know the drill. I'm not going to lay a 3 here and lose by 1 or 2, or win by 1 or 2 and lose my bet, or win by 3 and push. So I money-lined UNC Asheville. I got them, I want to say, -155. And we did see some over money here. It's a high total, 158, but now it's all the way up to 161.5. I noticed an interesting bet split at DraftKings. Only 39% bets, but 67% dollars around that over. So maybe this is a higher scoring game here, which typically does benefit a short favorite because more points, easier to cover that short number. But again, add a game, extra game, at home, a hot Asheville team, good line movement, good, Ken Palm win straight up as well as Rhythm, hopefully covering that number. But I'm going to mitigate some risk here. I'm going to go NC Asheville. I believe are they the Bulldogs? But let's go Asheville. On the money line, I got them at -155. Keep on cruising. Next one for you. Marist and Stony Brook. It's not an added game, extra game, but it's a very low bet, regular game 605, 606. But saw another sharp move on this one as well. Marist comes in 6-2. They've won 6 of their last 7 games, just outlasted Manhattan 82-75, covered as a 2-point road favorite. Meanwhile, Stony Brook 3-7, just snapped a 5-game losing streak. However, they won 72-55 over Ryder. They won outright as a 6-point road dog. What have we seen across the market here? Well, low bet game, but obscure sharp line move toward Marist. I like Marist on the money line. Marist opened this game around a 1.5-point road favorite. Marist has now been up to -2.5 and now -3 at quite a few shops. So pretty clear movement in favor of Marist. Now, if you look at Circa, Marist is getting 80% of spread bets, but over 95% of spread dollars. So the wise guys out in Vegas, as Circa prides themselves on taking in sharp money, not limiting someone or refusing outright their action, which I think is smart because the book gets more intel. Even though they might have to pay out some sharp bets, they're going to get more insight into how to adjust or mold the line, which overall is a good thing. But anyway, we've seen this move toward Marist. If you look at our friends at Rhythm, they have Marist winning by, or basically with a spread of -3.6. So again, you want to lay the 3, or you can maybe find a 2.5, save the juice. I totally get it. But KenPom only has Marist winning by 2. So that's why this is a money line play for me. I got Marist on the money line at -150. And Marist has a lot of advantages in this game. Number one, better offense. Offensive efficiency, 249 in the country versus 313 for Stony Brook. Better defensive efficiency, 210 in the country versus 298 for Stony Brook. Better effective field goal percentage, 53% versus 44%. And better three-point shooting, 35% versus 30%. Now, I mentioned KenPom has Marist only winning by 2, but he also has them ranked quite a bit higher, 240 in the country versus 318. Another reason why I like the money line, aside from not having the agony of laying a 3 or 2.5 and winning by 1 or 2, it's that the DraftKings splits look really good on the money line. Only 72% money line bets, but 89% of money line dollars. And we do have a rest advantage for Marist, which college kids, you're young, rest isn't that important as opposed to being older and being a professional. You just look at, like in the NFL, a bye week can be really beneficial, especially favorites coming off a bye, a system that we love historically. But to me, with college, the extra time is beneficial because it means you have more practice time in the gym, and you really have more coaching, and you're excited to get back out there again. And I noticed that Marist hasn't played since December 8th. Stony Brook played on December 14th. So I thought that was notable there. But add it all up here, guys. Let's go Marist to win this damn game. Got him on the money line, -150. Last bet of the night in college, 3 bets. Can we find a way to get 2 out of 3 here? Kendrick Lamar University against Southern Miss. This is an added game, extra game, and you guessed it, an obscure sharp line move. This is game 306-529, 306-530. Lamar comes in 5-5. Started off pretty rough, but they've actually been really hot recently. They've won 4 straight, just crushed Louisiana 74-45. They went outright as a 3-point road dog. Meanwhile, Southern Miss, kind of the opposite here. They've dropped 2 straight, just got steamrolled by Ole Miss 77-46. Didn't cover as a 23-point home dog. Now, this line opened with Lamar listed around a 2 or 2.5 point road favorite. And we've seen a lot of books go from -2, 2.5 up to 3. Most books are kind of back down to 2.5, but all the juice is -2.5, -115 toward Lamar. So it kind of tells you, the movement, the liability, at least open throughout the day, current to now, has been toward Lamar with the favorite here on the road. But also Lamar, a lot of advantages here. Better offensive efficiency, 221 in the country versus 319 for Southern Miss. Better defensive efficiency, big advantage here, 139 versus 212. Offensive rebound percentage, 35% versus 27%. Better three-point shooting, 36% versus 31%. And a big advantage free throw shooting, 71% versus 59%. Now, our guy KenPom has Lamar winning by 3. He does, however, have them ranked way higher, 176 in the country versus 282 for Southern Miss. And Rhythm has Lamar -3.1. So both Rhythm and KenPom have Lamar around a 3-point favorite. And again, they're basically -2.5 in the market, but all movement liability has been in their favor. Now, the other angle here I like is the defensive prowess of Lamar. They're only giving up 66 points a game. Southern Miss is giving up 80 points a game. And we have seen a good bet split to the money line. At Circa, only 50% of money line bets are on Lamar, but they're taking into account over 90% of dollars. So I money line Lamar, got him around minus 150. And Lamar, by the way, is on a 5-game road trip, and they've gone 3-0 their first 3 games. So another trip on the road, I think. And I'm not gonna say, when I played my glory days, but I remember in baseball, playing baseball in high school with my buddies. Anytime we were on a road trip, it was kind of a really good bonding experience. It's like us against the world. You kind of feel like you got something to prove, chip on your shoulder. I kind of like the fact that Lamar is really playing well on the road, and they got another road test here tonight. So I'm going to play Lamar, and we're gonna pump some Kendrick Lamar and rock Lamar tonight. But I got Lamar on the money line. Win the damn game around minus 150. So 3 money lines. Can we find a way to get 2 of them? NC Asheville, Marist, and Lamar. Now, let's go to a bowl game tonight. That's right. Got all these bowl games starting here, which typically provides a great opportunity to bet against the public because these are one-offs. They're extremely heavily bet. And there's a lot of public bias that comes into play, which basically says, hey, take the over, take the favorite, or take whoever had the better, ranking or record during the regular season. But typically, with the odds makers knowing that, there's an opportunity to kind of buy low on these teams that are unpopular and sell high on the teams that are. Now, let me give you kind of the lowdown here of the way the market has moved on this game. By the way, this is the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl in Frisco, Texas. It's an outdoor stadium, Toyota Stadium. That's part of my cap here as well. But going into it, we have Memphis, 10-2. They're ranked 25th in the country. They've won 3 straight. WVU, Take Me Home Country Roads, 6-6, and they've lost 2 of their last 3. Now, it's pretty clear here that we've got some big line movement toward Memphis. Memphis opened this game at one point as low as like a 3-point favorite. They're all the way up to basically -6. So part of me says, hey, everyone's on Memphis. They're getting over 70% of bets at DraftKings, over 80% of bets at Circa. If I'm laying a 6, though, it gives me a little bit of heartburn because, again, I'm with the public getting the worst of the number. And then I said to myself, I'm not afraid to take a 20% contrarian inflated line play on West Virginia. But then I started reading about this matchup, and this is what kind of scared me off of playing West Virginia. You have a lot of variables in this game. So on the one hand, you have Memphis locked and loaded, ready to go. Everyone's playing, full coaching staff. Their quarterback is a senior playing his last game. So it's kind of, win one for the Gipper here, basically. And there's an angle there where I think if with a win, they finish top 25, which is like the first time in quite a while. So this means a lot to Memphis. West Virginia, on the other hand, is kind of a dumpster fire. Like, I'm certainly rooting for West Virginia to cover this number just from a contrarian standpoint. But they just fired their head coach. There's an interim coach coaching this game. They just rehired Rich Rodriguez. He used to be with West Virginia years and years ago. And then also you have a bunch of opt-outs, transfers, guys going in the portal. Basically, Rodriguez is coming in, bringing his own guys. A lot of these old guys are now either kind of feel like they're getting pushed out or leaving for greener grass. So, do I want to play a West Virginia team with an interim coach with kind of nothing to play for, with a lot of guys opting out? No, that worries me. So what I did is I looked at the total, and I noticed one thing with the total. It opened as low as 56.5. That was the very early opener. Now it's all the way to 60.5. So I'm like, okay, looks like there was a lot of over money that came in. But here's the thing. This is a 9 o'clock game on ESPN. It's a primetime heavily bet game. The total has really risen here quite a bit, and this is a very public over. 72% of bets at DraftKings are going over, 83% of bets at Circa are going over. And think of it this way. Yes, the total rose, but again, if you're playing over 60.5 right now, you're with the public getting the worst of the number. So my thought process is, let's sell high. Let's go under here. Let's go primetime contrarian under. Only game in town. Everyone's again, playing Memphis in the over. So we can basically sell high and get the high watermark, hopefully. And I do see a couple books that are 60.5 under -115. So I already bet under 60.5. I'd love to see this thing start to fall back down to 60 between now and kickoff here. But I like this inflated line opportunity. Now, Rhythm is kind of right on the number. They're at 60.1. But it's a contrarian play in a heavily bet game. The game is outdoors. I mentioned that. Toyota Stadium in Frisco, Texas. 8-mile-per-hour winds. Gusts up to 15 miles per hour, so it's a little bit of a windy under. And we probably know Memphis will put up their points. Memphis is averaging 35 points a game. West Virginia is averaging around 29 points a game. West Virginia is giving up 31 a game. Memphis is giving up around 23 a game. But here's my thought process. Like, if Memphis is up big and it becomes a run the ball, chew the clock, that sort of thing, that bodes well for the under. So to me, this is more of a value play than it is a sharp play. Like, it's not like Publix on the over. It opened at 62 and now it's down to 60.5. It's kind of the opposite. It's still a really good contrarian play, and it's a very heavily bet game. But basically, we're selling high at the ultimate high water mark. Again, with a little bit of weather, and hopefully, again, if it proves that West Virginia is getting rolled here tonight, get up big, take your foot off the gas of your Memphis. So I'm going to play that under. I'm going Memphis WVU. Take me home to the under. Country Roads, Shenandoah River, under 60.5. Last bet of the night, again, for our 5-pack here, let's go to the NBA Cup. I mentioned this at the outset, but again, if you're telling me I win, if I have a winning night tonight in betting, I get $308,000, whew, I'll be scratching and clawing, do whatever I can to hopefully cash those tickets. But we have the Bucks and the OKC Thunder, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time tonight on ABC. Now, in terms of the side, we've seen this line move a little bit toward the OKC Thunder. Some books were -4.5, now up to 5. It's pretty much staying pretty steady here at 5. At DraftKings, you're getting 56% of bets on OKC. At Circa, it looks a little bit better for Milwaukee, 40% bets, 61% dollars. So I didn't really have much there on the side, but what I did like is the total. I'm going to go under 216. Now, it's a little bit like that Frisco Bowl because the total did open around 214.5, and it got bet up now to 216. But I'm starting to see the juice on the under, thinking that maybe this 216 is the high water mark. And just like we talked about the college football bowl game, it's a inflated line opportunity to go under in a contrarian spot. So everyone's watching this one. It's extremely heavily bet. 77% of bets on DraftKings are on the over. However, the under only getting 23% of bets, but 34% of dollars. Now, Rhythm has this pretty much exactly at 216, so it's not a huge Rhythm edge. But here's my other angle to play this under. This game is played in Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. And what does that mean? It means it's a neutral court. So, neutral court, typically you lean under because it's an unfamiliar situation. The players haven't played there before, or if they have, it's been a while, or it's kind of a rare situation, and you don't really know the backboard, the rims, the court, the sight lines. The sight lines are kind of really what screw you up in terms of being unfamiliar. So there's neutral court. And then I looked at the last two games. OKC, the last two games that were played in Vegas, in this arena, OKC beat Houston 111-96, and Milwaukee beat Atlanta 110-102. So you had two pretty much lower scoring games in a neutral site. Now, both teams are 14-11 to the under this year, and both teams are top 13 defensive efficiency. OKC is actually number 1. Milwaukee is number 13. But the angle here for me is a heavily bet game, the only game in town. Everyone's going over, yet this 216 looks like it's maybe point of resistance, maybe starting to come back down a little bit. And I'm not going to say this is Game 7 of the NBA Finals, but hey, this is a game where it is technically a championship game for the NBA Cup, and maybe a lockdown on defense in a neutral court and hopefully get a lower scoring game, which again is what we've seen from these teams in their last games at T-Mobile, and overall they've been under teams. So I'm going to go under here, under 216, and see if we can get a lower scoring game in this one. So give me Bucks Thunder, under 216. So that about does it for today's pod, episode 184 of the ASG podcast here, powered by Rhythm. This is the part of the pod where, first off, I thank you. I thank you for tuning in, for grinding, for sticking with the crew and the team and the mindset and the thought process when things are not going our way, to say the least. But again, sports betting is easy when you're winning. It's fun when you're winning. When you're losing and you have consecutive losing nights and you have a bad week, that's really when you find out what you're made of here. So let's not overreact, as rough as it is. Going +6 and a missed extra point, you lose by 6 instead of cover. Again, sometimes these things happen, but let's try to not get emotional about it, not freak out, not go nuts. Let's just continue to stick with it and wait for this thing to turn. Because this thought process, even though the data-driven approach has not treated us well over the last week, it treats you well long-term. So you just got to kind of deal with these little blips in the radar when you're flying through the clouds. Let's see if we can find some sunlight here. But anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in. If you would like to do me a solid, do me a huge favor, could you please give this podcast a 5-star review? Maybe not for the performance of the best bets, but hopefully the performance of the insights, the breakdowns. Hopefully they provide a little bit of value because, again, a lot of podcasts out there, a lot of people, though, who are betting based on gut instinct and bias and not even paying attention to the market. This is a different kind of pod. We're going to stay true to what the market is telling us and trying to make smart bets based on our head and not our heart. But if you enjoy the pod, please, Amazon, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, however you listen, please give it a 5-star review. That would mean a lot to me. And if you want to click the follow button or recommend it to a friend, that will be great as well. Secondly, as we have Christmas getting closer and closer each day, and you're freaking out what to get for a stocking stuffer for that person in your life who you haven't gotten a gift yet for, I got an idea. Make it easy. Go to Amazon.com, type in the Everything Guide to Sports Betting. Pick up a copy for you or a buddy or a colleague or a friend or a family member. Let's get everything I've learned in the industry. How lines are set, how and why they move, how to read line movement, how to locate sharp action, how to place a bet in person or online, how to shop for the best line, how to set up a bankroll management plan, chapters on all the major sports, including how to deal with bad beats and losing streaks, which again is part of the game we play here, guys. But grab one, bring it to the book. I'll sign it for you. I'll buy you a beer, and we'll take some shots together. Because what can you do other than drive yourself to drink when you keep swinging and missing recently? But anyway, guys, also if you haven't done it yet, great time to download the Rhythm as well as the Juice Reel apps. 2 great sports betting apps that help us to cash some tickets. Of course, Rhythm with their AI-backed models and predictions for game bets and player props. Juice Reel, where all the all systems go best bets are located. You can also follow the Robo Jackson best bets, which are from an AI model. And then also you get the arbitrage plays, sharp mush indicators, shop for the best line for futures, makes it really easy. And of course, don't forget to sync up your sportsbooks to the app so you can get a running report card. Which again, when I'm losing and I'm having a terrible week, I don't even look at my results. I know they're bad. So hopefully we can claw a few units back, but getting those results in that report card, it keeps you honest at least, which I think is important here. But as always, guys, that about does it for the pod. So I'll leave you with a couple things. One, whether I see you at the Borgata in Atlantic City, Twin River in Rhode Island, the Brook in New Hampshire, Foxwoods or Mohegan Sun, and the Encore in Boston or Plainridge Park Casino or MGM Springfield in my neck of the woods in Massachusetts, or out in the desert where the true grinders get down, where Billy Walters sends his number runners, where the lowest juices possible is found at the South Point, or Sweat and Sharp Contrarian plays jumping in the stadium swim pool when you cash a big ticket at Circo, wherever it may be. We are going to exorcise the demons. We are going to pray to the gambling gods. Vegas +6 with a missed extra point. Jacoby Myers over 59.5, lands 59. You can't make this stuff up. Rip them up, recycle them. See if we can get some winners here for tonight. So as always, guys, stay sharp. Stay contrarian. Bet against the public. Place yourself on the side of the house. Always be with the smart money, never against it. Will smart money win every time? No, it seems like smart money is losing here recently. But that doesn't make us abandon the process. If the weatherman tells you it's going to rain and it doesn't rain, does that mean next time he tells you it's going to rain, you don't bring a raincoat or an umbrella? No. Sometimes they're wrong. Sometimes the sharps are wrong. But long term, they get it right most of the time. So let's stick with the process, stick to the blueprint against the public, with the house, with the pros, flat bet, avoid parlays, get that CLV. If we can do that, I'm pretty confident long term that we will be successful sports bettors. So have a great Tuesday night, everybody. We got a 5-pack here. Let's see if we can find a way to get 3 or more. And of course, I hope to see you at 4 o'clock for the TikTok. I can't believe I'm saying this, but the TikTok Rhythm college basketball. Can we call it a seminar? I guess you could call it a seminar. How about a live stream? Whatever you want to call it. I'll be breaking down games there at 4, so hope to see you guys there. But as always, we'll be right back at it for tomorrow. Rain or shine, win or lose, we keep grinding. So I'll see you guys tomorrow for episode 185 of the All Systems Go Sports Betting Podcast, powered by Rhythm. Good luck, everybody. Have a great night.